I am with Devendra, lecturer in botany. Today we discuss hydrosere, means how to succession occurred in the aquatic bodies. This type of succession is called as hydrosere. Generally, in the succession, number of plant stages comes one and another and occurred the various species and uh, total the aquatic bodies slowly disappears and form as a wetland. This type of succession is called a hydrosere. The definition of hydrosere means a succession originate in a water body is called hydrosere or hydrax succession. Means water body means this about aquatic environment like pools, the lakes, and this type of small ditches. This type of the aquatic bodies. This type of aquatic bodies succession originate in the water body. So this type of succession is called as hydrosere or hydrax succession. Generally, this type of such a succession does not necessarily lead to the development of a land community. If the water body is sufficiently large and with a wave action, the succession usually results in the formation of a large aquatic climax community. This type of uh, if the hydrac succession starts from the comparatively small water body such as pond, there is always highly probably for the formation of a terrestrial climax community. The important characteristics of hydrosere is the number of stages it presents. Like this type of the hydrosere usually starts from a pond. So this type of in the ponds, the hydrosere starts with the phytoplanktons will be the pioneer community. A forest or grassland will be the climax community in the hydrosere succession. Includes several serious stages, comes and slowly disappears in this hydrosere succession. The cellular communities of plants are more obvious than animals. Just like the other succession, the hydrosere also completed through a sequence of several serious stages, like the serial communities. The serious stages of a typical hydrosere succession are as like having the various stages. Like as the serious stages of hydrosere means like the one is the phytoplankton stage and is the rooted submerged stage, and next one is the rooted floating stage, and another one is the reed swamp stage, next one the sedge meadow stage, and woodland stage, and forest stage. Total 7 stages are occurred in the ecological succession of hydrosere. The total the hydrax succession of hydrosere means having the total 7 stages. That one is the phytoplankton stage, and second one is the rooted submerged stage, and third one is the rooted floating stage, fourth one is the reed swamp stage, and fifth one is the sedge meadow stage, and sixth one is the woodland stage, and last one is the forest stage. This is In this total seven stages, the phytoplankton stage is the pioneer stage, and the forest stage is the climax stage. In between of the various serious stages, comes and slowly disappears and occupied another one stage. The succession is occurred from in the aquatic bodies. So in this type of total seven stages, first we see phytoplankton stage. In this phytoplankton stage, the phytoplanktons will be pioneer community in the hydrosere. So this type of algal at the time of in the rain season, the algal spores are brought into the water in the initial stages of the succession. So the algal spores germinate and quickly colonize in the water body. So this type of the algal spores are germinate and produce the large quantity of algals in the aquatic communities. So the uh, algals are they multiply and grow for some time. They fix light energy in this process takes place by the process of photosynthesis. So some of the blue-green algae and another some of the green algae, diatoms and bacteria, this type of these all are the phytoplankton communities. So this type of larger number of minute free-floating zooplanktons will also appear. Various growth activities of these planktons and their death and nutrients to soil and water. After their death, they settle down at the bottom of the pond to form a layer of muck. So this type of the phytoplankton, in this type of phytoplankton stage, there will be the phytoplanktons are the pioneers community, like some of the blue-green algae and another some of the green algae and diatoms, this type of bacteria, these all are the pioneers in the uh, participated in the pioneer community. When enter in the water plant aquatic bodies, there takes place the reproduction process and multiply and grow for some time. These all are complete the prepare the food materials by the photosynthesis. Uh, those all are fixed the light energy by the process of photosynthesis. So these all are complete when death. These all are after death. These all are complete settle down at the bottom of the pond. This is the phytoplankton stage. And next stage is the rooted submerged stage. In this second stage, when the nutrients are added to the soil and water by the death and decomposition of the phytoplankton stage communities. So this type of the subsequently a soft muddy bottom which rich sit forms. So this type of due to the formation of muddy bottom, the water depth becomes shallower. So once the water depth is reduced to about 10 feet, the complete light penetration becomes easy. So the promotes the growth of rooted submerged hydrophytes. The plants will be completely submerged in the water. In this type of community, various type of species like as a Hydrilla, Vallisneria, Utricularia, Cara, uh, Ceratophyllum, this type of various type of species participated in this submerged, rooted submerged stage. So when these all are complete growing in the bottom of the water bodies and takes place the reproduction and multiply and growing fastly and dead and decaying and reach the bottom of the pond. After then, this type of in this stage, this type of stage is not suitable for the rooted submerged stage. Due to this reason, this type of places occupied another community of plants, means another stage is occupied the type of place. The next stage is the rooted floating stage. In this rooted floating stage, when the depth of water reaches about 4 to 8 feet, the submerged vegetation starts disappearing from their original place. This type of these all are complete death, decomposition of these rooted plants and more nutrient to the soil. This further increase the width of bottom soil or sit. In this condition, rooted floating hydrophones starts to appear. In this condition, the rooted floating hydrophytes are occupied this place. These rooted floating plants quickly cover the water surface and their floating leaves completely cover the water body. As the result of this, the light penetration into the water inhibited and this result in the complete disappearance of the submerged plants. In this plant community, various type of plants growing as a rooted floating stage like uh, Nymphia, Nilambo, and Trapa. These type of various type of Azolla, Lemna, Ulfia, Pistia, Salvinia. These type of various type of plants occupied on the some of the growing as a in this type of various communities, some of the growing as a complete rooted floating and another some of the free floating plants can also develops like Nymphia, Nilambo and Trapa. These all are complete rooted floating stage, rooted floating plants and another some of the growing as a free floating plants also like as a Azolla, Lemna, Ulfia, Pistia and Salvinia also. And next one is the reed swamp stage. In this reed swamp stage, this type of reed swamp stage also called as a amphibious stage. So in this type of stage, when the water level very much reduced, so this type of stage appears at the time of the water levels is 1 to 3 feet reduced. In this stage, the reed swamp stage is occupied in this place. The level of soil and slit increases and in this condition the rooted floating plants survive there. The soil more fertile by death and decay of plants. Due to this reason, in this stage, the rooted floating plants are replaced by plant communities which can survive both in the water and terrestrial conditions. Hence, the this type of the in this stage, this type of plants name also called as amphibious stage also. This type of the terrestrial in this type of in this stage, both in the water and terrestrial condition will develop. Most of these plants will be rooted, but their shoot are exposed in the air. They have well developed rhizome. When the plants in this stage form very dense vegetation over the area, and this will prevent the light penetration to the lower portion. At this condition, the remaining rooted floating or free floating or submerged plants of the previous serious stages completely disappears. Like this type of in this reed swamp stage, various type of plants growing in this condition like as a typha, sagittaria and polygonum. These type of various plants are growing in this stage. Okay. And when the after some period in this stage is not suitable for the rooted medge, so reed swamp stage. In so another one serious stage is occupied in this place like as a sedge meadow stage. This type of sedge meadow stage also called as a sedge marsh or meadow stage. When the water level further decrease and the filling process result in the formation of a marshy soil. The marshy soil is unsuitable for the pre-existing community, like as a means the reed swamp community. This type of plants of the like as a Cyperaceae and Poaceae starts to develop and they predominate in the area. The rhizome of these plants are well developed and they are interconnected to the each other. They form mat-like vegetation over the top of the soil. The luxurious stage of these plants will modify the current soil. The plants have high rate of transpiration and they remove the large amount of water from the soil result in further reduction of moisture. So due to loss of water by transpiration, the soil becomes exposed to air for the first time. Once the soil is exposed to the air, the nutrients such as ammonia and sulfides become oxidized to nitrate and sulfates. The oxidation also results in the breakdown of other complex organic compounds in the soil to simple compounds. So all this ultimately results in the formation of terrestrial soil. So when the terrestrial soil in terrestrial soil form due to the season, the stage is not suitable for the sedge meadow due to when occupied the another one serious stage called as woodland stage. In this stage, some shrubs and medium sized trees will start to appear. These plants will prevent to light penetration to the bottom region and hence the marshy vegetation in the body gradually shrinks. The soil will stay dry in most of the time. Shrubs and herbs gradually predominates the area. Shading of leaves from the shrubs and trees result in the huge accumulation of humus in the soil. A variety of decomposers of bacterial and fungal groups in the soil quickly break down this organic matter, results in a further increase of fertility of the soil, topsoil. Due to this reason, in this type of stages, various type of small trees and shrubs growing in this stage, like as a salix, euphorbia, ulnus, and acacia, and terminalia. These type of various type of shrubs and small trees growing in this stage. When the climax when the climax stage, the stage called as forest stage, the forest stage is the climax community in the Hydrosere succession. The woodland community is invaded by the large tree forms. The tree forms gradually predominate the area and their canopy covers the entire area. The light penetration to the lower canopy becomes reduced and this results in the reduction of herb and shrub population. This condition also promoted the occurrence of large wooded climbers. These climbers will climb over the trees for sunlight. The climate of the region determines the type of forest is looks like a forest like structure formed in the climax stage. In this uh, forest stage, first occurred various type of plants like azea, acer, and another some of the chorus and another some of the shoria. This type of plants are growing in this stage. When the climax forest community is stable and self sustainable, so all types of community herbs, trees, climbers, animals, decomposers, etc. are present in the climax community in correct proportion. At the climax stage, a complete harmony is developed between the plant communities with the habitat. The process of hydrosere is gradually processed and it may take thousands of years to complete. So this is the hydrosere and shows are the various type of stages. Okay, thank you.